Dude, he's on the fucking res, and then he decides he's gonna go to the military. Is there a fucking movie on this guy yet? It's gotta be. Like,
No,
come on.
but there should be.
Why the fuck is there a movie on this guy? It needs to be a two-part movie. One of them,
Because,
one of them is just
because,
being a fucking Indian.
because,
Ah.
because Hollywood is a propaganda machine that doesn't want to tell awesome stories. That's why.
Oh, I hear a Sundance film coming up then.
That's what I think.
Independent Sundance film, native. We get the funding from the government to buy our fucking film. We have the government fund our Native American film.
I was just thinking about it, man. I'm just like, there should just be, there should just be a movie called Guadalcanal.
Dude. That
You know what
fucking,
I mean?
yeah, that's intense. That's crazy shit right there.
There was like two enemies in Guadalcanal. There was the Japanese, and then there was the jungle.
Couldn't imagine,
Anyway,
like,
I just wanted to talk about Master Sergeant Woodrow Woody Wilson Keeble, member of the Sioux tribe, maybe one of the most highly decorated Native American or otherwise soldiers in history.
all right, we're recording.
I'm putting all this on.
Oh man.
What? You froze. Oh, there you
What?
are.
Oh.
Yeah, there you are. Dude, you're like in the dark.
I know because I haven't woken up yet and the lights aren't on.
Dude, it's 8:40. It's 8:42 where you're at.
I
It's
know.
almost 9 a.m.
Yeah,
How late were you up?
I don't know. I try and stay up late so that I don't wake up in the morning. I don't wake up at like 1 in
Well,
the morning. I usually wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning.
what for?
Because I just had the need to wake up. I don't know.
God, boy, you really are an old man. That's an
The
old
nor-
man talk. I wake up at 1, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to go to bed at like 12, I'm trying to go to bed at 11:30 or 12, so I'd wake up at 6:30. I only need 5 hours.
Well,
So this time I slept, and then it was like 7:30, and then I got into watching my phone, and then it was cold, and I don't want to get out of bed when it's freezing cold. And now I'm
yeah, I
talking to
know.
you, and I'm talking to you, so I'm not
Well,
gonna get it. I'm not, I mean, I hear.
let me t-
I could
let me
probably
tell
hear.
you
Here, I'll
let me
read it.
tell you a little something. Right now it's time for American Indian War Hero Talk. American Indian War Hero Talk right now. I'm going to come to you with some Native American war heroes. We're going to start with Woodrow W. Keeble.
Oh.
But you better not sing like that around this guy. This guy is a true elder and needs respect. I mean, this ain't no joke, Private King, Private Salmon.
I'm
This ain't
so
no
sorry.
joke.
Hey,
Woodrow Wilson.
pay respect to my elders.
Woodrow, what?
Pay respect to my
Woodrow
elders.
Wilson. Listen, this guy is one of the most decorated war heroes of all time. World War II and Korea. Um, and he's Sioux. He's a Sioux Indian out of Dakota, right? And they gave him the Medal of Honor after he died. He was such a decorated hero, so many great things that after he was dead, they gave him the Medal of Honor. He served in the company, okay, the North Dakota 164th Infantry Regiment. What does that mean? Oh, a whole hell of a lot. Why? Because those folks were sent green. They were green. These guys were out of the United States, trained on regular flatland green, and sent into the Pacific in World War II. Guadalcanal. What do you know about Guadalcanal, the battles of the Marines against the Japanese in Guadalcanal?
It was harsh, man. It was a bad situation for those guys. They were way out of their element. They had no idea what they were doing. That's what I know about it.
Bro, first of all, this was back when the Japanese were doing bonsai attacks, where they would just randomly, just waves of humans with guns and daggers and grenades just try to swamp the other forces. Americans had never seen anything like that. Also, they had been in the South Pacific, Guadalcanal is out in the South Pacific, trying to take over. Japan had tried to take over, was on its way to taking over Australia. Right? Japan down to Australia, went through the Philippines, kicked General MacArthur out of the Philippines, kicked them out. And they were dug in. They had like tons of time to prepare. They had all these defensive things. And Guadalcanal was a miserable island out in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, the insect situation, it was like swarms and hordes of like biting horseflies or bottle flies, and just it was intense, not to mention crabs and other kind of crazy crap, little weird critters, centipedes. I mean, just everything that you fear in the night was there alongside these dug in Japanese. And the first Marine division that went there, literally fighting in the ocean to try to just get like 5 inches of space of sand on this bloody island with like, Japanese submarines and stuff floating around, blowing up ships and trying to create havoc. These guys got wasted. The Marines were dying. They needed backup. So who came in? The 164th out of Dakota with this great American Indian hero. And they said there was nowhere, they called him Woodrow, right? And imagine a Native American name, Woodrow Wilson. I mean, that's a whole other story in and of itself. But they called him Woody. Apparently, he stood a head taller than everybody else and was a master with the rifle and had an amazing arm. And apparently, he was one of the best and most accurate grenade throwers of WW2.
What?
And guys would say, bro, the best place to be, right, was next to Woody. He was this like expert with a Browning automatic rifle. There's guys out of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe that fought alongside him. Said it was crazily amazing. He was part of a key role in the defeat of the major Japanese offensive in October 1942.
Damn. Imagine.
He went to Bougainville, Leyte, Cebu, Mindanao. And in fact, he landed in Japan and took part of the Yokohama occupation. Let's see. This is what Keeble said. Listen to what he said about combat. Before I experienced the horror of that attack, I was quick to call coward or yellow anyone who showed fear under any circumstances. Nevermore. I don't know these things, but they speak truth to me. I am not a psychologist nor a statistician, and less of a philosopher, but the depth of emotion, the dreads of fear, the referee of horrors, and the concentration of self that led me to make this observation, the fear impulse, or perhaps better said, impulses caused by fear are stronger and more demanding than either that of love or hunger. He said that fear, in my opinion, is a state of drunkenness. And when men are in a state when the fear impulse takes hold, he loses all reason, sense of values, and is not liable, or at least should not be held accountable for acts perpetrated when thus possessed. During the 13 months in the most continual and sustained combat in which I've ever participated, there were moments, and rare ones, I am sure, but they lose none of their terror or horror for which fear laid a relentless and powerful hold on me. That the pull of cowardice was almost more than I could ward off. There were terrible moments that encompassed a lifetime, an endlessness when terror was so strong in me that I could feel idiocy replace reason. Yet, I have never left my position, nor have I shirked hazardous duty. Fear did not make a coward out of me. So this is a guy fighting. I mean, think about fighting the type of enemy. They didn't have experience with Japanese, the Imperial Army of Japan, the Emperor of the Sun's killers.
Yeah.
Right? Japan sided with Hitler. This guy is saying, I've actually been in these situations, and I'm going to give everyone a pass because the level of terror that takes over, it's like being drunk.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, can you imagine, like imagine being on a small island like Guadalcanal, hot, muggy, infested, fires burning all over the place. The smell, they said the smell of rotting flesh from the dead bodies overwhelmed you just got used to it.
Yeah.
And everywhere you turned, by sheer accident, either by enemy fire or even friendly fire, could be your last day. I mean, what do you imagine would be like? What would you do? You were drafted into an army and sent over there to Hell Island with a gun?
I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. My imagination. I couldn't even. I can't think about it because my instinct would be, oh, dude, I'll just shoot them, and then you think, nah, you really wouldn't do that. You're like, oh, shoot, no, because actually, once you started getting scared about shit and you start like a dude dies next to you, you're like, yeah, I'm not into this, dude. What the fuck did I sign up for? I'd probably fucking I don't know. I don't know what I do, dude, because I've never been in that situation. I don't know what I would. I've never been in a situation where I've either had to like 100% own up to what I'm doing and go in head first, or be like, yeah, fuck this and just get the fuck out because of self-preservation. I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. I don't even know how how Woody could do it because, but some people
So
are built
after,
differently.
so imagine you survive World War II. These sort
Yeah.
of like the Japanese soldiers towards the end were prepared to die in mass suicide killings, like kamikazes and bonsai attacks and all this stuff. And they were thoroughly indoctrinated. You're going up against that kind of person that doesn't give a crap about their own life, ready to die instead of face humiliation. You're just some Indian from the reservation. You're out there, right? Being tested, confronting pure fear and having to hold your position.
It had to be
You
deeper.
survive.
That'd be a deeper part of like spirituality for him because it wouldn't have been to fight for his country because he's not on his own land.
That's an interesting point. But there wasn't a lot of options for natives too. This was one of them. One of the options for a strong Native American man, probably woman too, was to be in the armed forces. Go out there and test your mettle and show what it's like to keep your cool under fire. But imagine you survive the chaos of that and you think like, well, I survived, I pressed my luck. And then going back and going to Korea to fight in Korea again. And not like in some rear situation where you're just sort of part of a supply chain sending styrofoam cups and coffee to people. No,
No.
you're back on the front lines facing bullets and bayonets.
Yeah.
So listen to this. He was in George Company in Korea. Now they were fighting. The Chinese were in Korea. It was like the 6th day of just continual fighting. So 6 days of war, no rest. 6 days, almost a week of war, constant shooting, quiet explosions. People run around with like limbs ripped off, bloody stumps, like men crying and pissing themselves all over the place. So much so, day in, day out, walking around seeing a corpse with no head, all that stuff. Guns jamming, right? You probably got a staph infection in your finger that's throbbing, but it doesn't matter because you're at war right now. Swamp foot or whatever the hell they had back then, trench toe. I mean, just really imagine just all of the aches of it. Talk about cold mornings, waking up in a. They had pup tents back then. They didn't keep any rain out. What was that?
Yeah.
It's nothing. Everything was wet and cold.
Wet.
Right? You're sitting there, got a stupid ass rucksack on. You know what I mean? They hadn't even invented Pop-Tarts yet. I mean, imagine. You're at war, they haven't invented Pop-Tarts. You're out there in this cold, lips are chapped, Everything you drank probably tasted like a chemical because they had to kill women. Just crazy. Round the clock fighting. And so these Chinese soldiers are on some freaking Korean hill, right? And it was like the last major Chinese stronghold, okay? And up to this point, listen, this guy, Woody, right, suffered 2 rifle gunshot wounds to his left arm. Okay, so his left arm got shot twice. Maybe it was a graze, whatever, right? So already he's got his left arm shot twice in his left arm. I mean, okay, when's the third bullet's got to take out your lung? I mean, you got shot twice in the arm. The third time's a charm, ain't gonna be in the arm. And then also they had grenades with shrapnel in them, right? You know, so they're throwing grenades with bits of metal just to increase the lethality, just in case, you know, you happen to be not right next to the grenade and it doesn't blow your leg off. What we'll do is we'll send dirty metal shards into your flesh in the hopes that you'll get gangrene in your groin and die a miserable, painful death that'll break the hearts of the guys around you and just break your will.
So bad. So bad.
That shrapnel went off in his face, in Woody's face, and almost tore off his nose.
No.
2 in the arm, shrapnel in the face, nose is severed. He had twisted his knee on top of all. Think of all of the guys that you know back home, right? Guys that are a little bit heavy set who've got bum knees. Every man in America over a certain age has a bad knee. This guy's got 2 gunshot wounds, shrapnel nose, and a twisted knee, right? They had to remove 83 pieces of shrapnel. He had also suffered a concussion from a grenade explosion the day before. So the doctors told him, hey, bro, you need to chill. You've got no nose. You got 2 holes in your arm, 83 shrapnel, and a concussion and a twisted knee.
You got to sit in bed for a minute.
Yeah, you got to chill.
You got to take some bed rest.
Okay, so you don't need to charge. See that mountain where your men are that they're going to go charge the entrenched Chinese in the last major stronghold? That's a nada for you. That's a nada for you. Right? You just stay right there, Woody.
Yeah.
Right? Act like a tree, Woody, and just stay right there. And he was like, dude, oh, hell no. No, man. Like a Terminator, like an American Indian Terminator. He's like, nah, man. Yeah, it ain't gonna go down like that, son. Nah, son. No, I'm gonna
you don't
join those, right?
Those are my men out there.
Yeah, and he wound up leading 3 platoons to assault the Chinese. And he led 3 assaults. And each time the Chinese would like repulse the assault. So he's charging up a mountain. The gunfire was so dastardly that the men were like, run away. They had to like turn back, regroup, right? And still he was like, all right, maybe we try it like this. And then he was like, go! You know, they came back, regrouped, and again. I mean, it was insane. All the trenches, right? And you got to remember the way it was all fought, it was all trench warfare. So you just had tons of Chinese enemies in these trenches, pillboxes, and everywhere, right? And then, right, these machine gunners and everything were shooting down George Company. So what does Keeble do? What does the Keebler war elf do? The Keebler Native American war elf do? What does he do? He does his own solo assault. He's like, fuck it. You know what it is? It's too many people. I'm gonna do it.
It's too many people. Get out of my dude. You're holding me back, dude. I'm worried about you. I'm just gonna go out and do it myself. I can do way more damage by myself.
Right. He was like Bill O'Reilly. He was like, we'll do it live. He was like, nah. So he goes, He takes some grenades. He takes that Browning automatic rifle and he starts crawling up the muck and the sand and the wetness and everything. So he gets to about 50 yards away from the enemy. And on the sides, an enemy like, bunker. And they're like trying, it's like Chinese enemy soldiers like trying to find him. And he works his way up there and he takes the grenades. And because he's such a great shot, he throws it into the bunker and takes the entire bunker out with grenades.
Dude.
And then he lobbed a grenade into the other pillboxes around there, and he used his gun, single guy, taking out a group of Chinese behind a bunker in these concrete pillboxes. Somebody who was watching what was going on, one of the soldiers, right, said that the enemy, like this whole entire army of Chinese, directed their arsenal at Keeble during his assault. He said there were so many grenades. This is a quote. There was so many grenades coming down on Woody that it looked like a flock of blackbirds.
No. No.
Imagine that. Imagine you're alone out in a field without any cover, and there's a flock of grenades raining down all around you, exploding with your bum knee, shrapnel head, and 2 gunshot arm. And under those circumstances, he was able to take out those fortifications, and then he ordered the rest of his men to advance to secure the hill. He single-handedly destroyed 3 enemy machine gun bunkers and killed an additional 7 enemy soldiers in the trenches.
There's it reminds me of there's a story of a guy that they did a movie on him, and it was or they did there was a series on this guy. He did kind of the same thing at it wasn't Normandy, it was one of the beaches near there. It was when they were storming, and this guy did the same thing this guy did. He like soloed, and he went in and he grenade. There's this mentality that these guys get, and I wonder, like, it's like the first snap of when they realize that like fear doesn't do any, like you said, he was at the island and he had this feeling of fear. He knew what it was, and then he just like snapped. He said, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna let that take me over." And once you get that way, it turns you into this motherfucker that just doesn't care, because obviously he wasn't scared of shit. I mean, injuries and everything that normally just take a normal person, and they just run the other fucking way. I'm done getting shot. This guy's like, I don't care if I get shot. I'm gonna keep going.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there's nothing more dangerous than a native that's determined.
Man.
Just to give you a little spice, understanding of what his sort of maiden battleground, his initial theater that like honed him and hardened him for battle, Guadalcanal, was pure misery. Pure misery. They faced life and death on a day-to-day basis. And they were assaulted by like all the normal tropical diseases and just like malaria. They were poorly supplied, so they didn't even have enough food, and guys were dying of malnutrition in Guadalcanal. Let's see. And part of it was because they were not able to supply the island. The Marines couldn't supply the island, and so they were left without even medical provisions and food.
Yeah, they couldn't get to the island because it was so heavily protected. Like the guys that were there were kind of on their own. They got there.
These Marines had to live on the rice that they were able to steal from the Japanese that were already on shore.
Yeah. There was a movie about it.
And this wasn't like rice you get at Costco. You know what I mean? This was rice that was filled with maggots and worms, but you still ate it anyway.
Yeah.
At one point, there was only enough food to give all the Marines like 2 tablespoons of rice a day. There were clouds. I mean, huge thunderstorms of malaria-carrying mosquitoes. I don't know. Have you ever had malaria? Have you ever even read about what it's like to have?
Yeah. I've never had it, but I've read it, and I know. Yeah, malaria is no good, bro. Like on the real, it's no fucking good.
Right. I read stories about guys in Guadalcanal that had to rip the back of their pants out because they had so much diarrhea that it was like, well, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Who am I pretending? I'm just going to make it easier. And they would be marching, and then guys would just step it to the side and just water poop,
Yeah.
just
Just
water poop, and then get back up marching. I mean, imagine having diarrhea and then eating worm-infested rice. You know, and then all of the wounds would be like, you know, gangrene because there was no medical supplies and it was like hot and tropical.
muddy, and fucking disgusting.
And then every night, these Japanese ships would get in close enough and just start shelling the hell out of marine positions. They said they'd be laying at night. They didn't even, some of them didn't even bother with tents because they didn't do anything. They'd lay at night. And then there was nothing to do. There were sitting ducks. And then all of these shells, explosions would rain down all around them. And they said you could feel the vibrations and the heat and everything. You sometimes the flash would be so bright you'd go blind for like 30 minutes. You know, men would like come out of like they'd be sitting there in like a dugout ditch. They'd come staggering out, shaking, violating. Their ears would be bleeding, like blood pouring from their ears. They couldn't see anything. They couldn't hear anything. I mean, just disorientated, like just crazy.
You're coming with me. You're coming with me.
Yeah, it was a 5-month slog.
Oh fuck, bro.
Half a year, bro.
Months, bro. I mean, I've been here for almost a year. April, May. No, I've only been here for about 8 months.
So that's, you know, that's what Woody Keeble, the great American Indian hero and patriot, Woody Keeble was shipped to that. And I couldn't think of a place more different than Dakota than hot tropical Guadalcanal.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna go and dude, he's on the fucking res, and then he decides he's gonna go to the military. Is there a fucking movie on this guy yet? It's gotta be. Like,
no, but there should be.
Why the fuck isn't there a movie on this guy? It needs to be a 2-part movie. One of them is being a fucking Indian.
Because Hollywood is a propaganda machine that doesn't want to tell awesome stories. That's why.
I hear a Sundance film coming up then.
That's what I think.
Independent Sundance film, native. We get the funding from the government to buy our fucking films. We have the government fund our Native American film.
I was just thinking about it, man. I'm just like, there should just be, you know, there should just be a movie called Guadalcanal.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's intense. That's crazy shit right there.
There was like 2 enemies in Guadalcanal. There was the Japanese, and then there was the jungle.
Couldn't imagine.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk about Master Sergeant Woodrow Woody Wilson Keeble, member of the Sioux tribe, maybe one of the most highly decorated Native American or otherwise soldiers in history.
He's still alive.
No, he's gone.
He's gone, so he can't tell his story. He's
Right. Next,
Story.
we're going to talk about Pascal Cletus Poulos Sr. He was in the Army for World War II, Korean, and Vietnam War. 3 wars from the Kiowa Nation in Oklahoma. But that'll be for another story. Imagine
got poor connection.
World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, so send me that video. We'll see what we get.
Okay.
I'm gonna make clips out of that and put that up, but
okay.
because I want to do like continuing series of American Indian war heroes.
Yeah, I love it. This is awesome. I'll get this cut up and then I'll put it. Well, I'll just get it so there's no front and back, and I'll give you the meat of it, and then we'll put images. We'll start dig up images that you see. Put them in Native American, like the.
Well,
unless you just want.
Okay. Well, first thing is just send me that thing and then let me cut it up into Opus and see what it comes back with, and then maybe drop the images in the clips.
Okay.
That way you don't have to tool around with it. Just give me access to the full length, and then I'll.
Do you want me to put? Because right now it's going to come up as a screenshot, a recording of this, and I'm like, and it doesn't run. Do you want me to put me next to you in this frame and then give you the thing so it's both of us together?
Yeah, you can. Whatever you think looks best.
Okay, I'll make it look good, and then I'll send it to you, and then you can do your thing with it.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
I'll hit you up later.
All right, brother.
All right. Thank you.